Hey everybody, it's your pal Drew. Let's get right into it. Comics from my spinner rack. X-Men Hidden Years was met with a lot of anticipation because John Byrne was going to be writing and drawing it, and Tom Palmer, who inked the Neil Adams era of X-Men, was doing the inking. And you could see that John was he was going for the elongated figures, and he was trying to do Neil Adams to an extent, and with Tom Palmer, he did pretty well. Without swiping. This book only lasted 22 issues. It was the first time Byrne had done anything visually with the X-Men. He wrote a few issues around when Jim Lee took over X-Men with issue 1. Claremont left, and what happened was Lee and everybody else were running behind, and it was a monthly book, so John was having to do these quick scripts overnight from a fax that from the pencils or something, and he's like, I don't need this, I'm not trying to break in the industry. So he did this. Is around 2000 I think. Only lasted 22 issues, and it's really great. It's supposed to take place between the last issue of the original series, which was 66, and then fill the gap between that and Giant Size X-Men 1. So there's a lot of grist for the mill, and guess what has the Fantastic Four in it? No stranger to Byrne or vice versa. All of a sudden, a Bing Crosby. What happened was it got cut at the knees with issue 22. And the only reason given was Joe Quesada said publicly that we're trying to cut down on the X-Men books because we think we're overloaded with them. And that was a bald-faced lie. Like a couple months, maybe a month after this, they started another X-Men book. So I think they had a butting of heads. And at the time, Joe Quesada, he had this attitude of the Darwin system. Like, if you're good enough, we'll keep you, but if you're too old school, we won't. Old school, no. And I'm like, that's very narrow-minded. And there were some good new artists, but there were also some shitty ones. So this is taking place when the Sentinels Ryan issue, what is it? I can't think of the issue, but it's, see how he's doing like the Neil Adams stuff. It was sort of the end of the Sentinel saga with Neil Adams and Roy Thomas. And check this out. This is so audacious. I love it. Palmer's inking everything but the Fantastic Four. And Byrne decided to have Joe Sinnott ink the FF figures. And it's like, that's genius. So you got a Palmer head and you got a Sinnott head. I love that. That's pretty cool. So much cool stuff going on. And you see, that's like a Neil Adams face without any sense of swipery. Really enjoyable stuff. And Byrne gets all Kirby. That one face. Oh, so beautiful. And also, he's doing the retro thing because he's the thing, and he's drawing it retro where he looks kind of like a muscled superhero, whereas when Byrne took over the FF, he decided to make Ben look more like a starfish. He'd have these long arms, and his elbows his hands that didn't move just like an action figure. He did it a little more elaborate. So a lot of cool stuff going on. And you're introducing us to Candy Southern, who became the Angel's girlfriend for a long time. And I like that kind of stuff because, when she first showed up, she just showed up in a Claremont issue. Real nice pose there. I really wish it stayed on. It's so damn good. But, the Phoenix, or is it? And there we got some Joe Sinnott. Beautiful. It kills me. They came out in 2 trade paperbacks, and then recently an omnibus. because I think the first trade paperback, it goes for a lot of money. It was kind of rare. Or was it the second? Not important. Okay. World's Finest. Nick Cardy cover. Very sinister looking. For being all superheroes and stuff. I remember I got this from an older cousin who didn't want it anymore. And I'm like, okay, I'll give it a shot. It's not Marvel, but I'll give it a shot. Turns out I love this issue. It was art by Dick Dillon and Murphy Anderson. Dick Dillon was doing Justice League America. Murphy Anderson was doing superhero books. Bob Haney, not to be confused with Mr. Haney at in Green Acres. So there's this. It basically is. It's centered around Metamorpho, the Element Man. There was like this Cro-Magnon creature who hung around the professor, whose daughter was romantically entangled with Metamorpho. So he's just kind of like, yeah, I love superheroes. His name's Java. It's like, how do you stack up compared to these two? He's like, Sapphire would be mine. Sapphire stack. Oh, I better throw these costume in his cauldron. What's going on? It turned out that Metamorpho was in there. Holy Hannah, I'm all a-tingle. Hi, Staggy. I'm out of the glop again. Let's hope your latest cure can end my freak phase for good. It looks... It's true. I'm what? All of a sudden... Only because of a costume. Only because a costume got tossed in, he now has Superman's powers. This is a great storytelling here. He's spinning around, Master. And not only that, but Metamorpho still has his old transformation powers where it turns to a crane. It's like, he'd be the most friggin' powerful menace on Earth if he chose to, if he had these powers beyond this one issue. So he's flying along to rescue this one sunken something or other. I ain't gonna bother. I already checked this area, Metamorpho. You're wasting time. He's pretty cocky, but he hasn't got my powers. That's really, really nice. I like, Frank McLaughlin was good on it, but I'm really digging Murphy Anderson on this. So he's bragging to Superman. Are you trying to say you're superior to me, freak? I'm like, that's kind of insensitive. Well, you can never see the day you can compete with me, freak. I'm like, Superman, your manners. Batman has his arm in a sling. He got shot during a case, and they call it Element Man. Boy, is that a great pose. The first time Batman was staked out near where the ransom was, the kidnappers spotted him, left without picking up the money, and he caught a slug in the bargain. So he's like, yeah, I can take care of it. Why that? So he came up with the gold. He was hidden amongst the bars. I always thought that face was really freaky. Also, the pose. He's like so cold and detached as they shoot at him because he knows they're not going to do anything with him. He's got Batman's agility, his fighting prowess. So he goes on the Johnny Larson show. We seem to have misplaced the medal. Don't worry, Mr. Secretary. I'll make a duplicate like so. Nauseating, isn't it? Yes, that's why I summoned you to my fortress of solitude. The world's saying we're washed up. That super freak makes us both obsolete. Batman punches his bad hand like it's so funny. He's mad, but he's... Ow! Man, I've had it. So have I. The public, even the governments are fickle. I have a suggestion that would be appreciated again. So these two are defecting to Slavia, Americans' biggest international rival. And whoop, hail Slavia! Let me get a little zoom in there. So now they're considered terrorists. I love this. So Superman and Batman are with this dictator, and he goes, "Naturally, I was suspicious of your defection, gentlemen, but my own secret agents in the States confirmed all you told me. So far in America's defense." Got a big old slab of meat. And he's talking, he's going, "I'm going to do this. To Slavia and world domination. Crash, crash, crash." Over my dead carcass. He was inside. I love that. Super Freak. He gets the title Super Freak, and it's not Rick James. So they decide to battle. They'll meet in a neutral area. Batman's in the bat plane. And I'll fly circles around that chemical clown. Here he comes. What's he flying? A World War I crate? Nope. He's flying himself. I love that image there. God, on the old belly shot broke that freak's back. It's like, man, you've been working a little too long, Batman, even for you. Maybe get a week off in Aruba. Here's something a normal plane can't do. Whoosh. So he gets to a tank. But Metamorpho chooses to use his legs. And smush. So he gets a punch from the ground after he'd been knocked. Never mind. This whole friggin' mountain comes down. Soups is tossing a whole mountain back on me. That did it for that creep. I'm like, that's intense. I mean, we know Metamorpho is almost indestructible. Maybe he is, but that's a little over the top. And not only that, wouldn't that affect, like, it's so big, wouldn't it affect, like, the weather and the, just the general geology of the area? Wow, what a trip. So he blows his bubble. So cool. Because it ain't any substance. It's the sugar. It's crystals of sugar. Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. It's the antimatter inside. Antimatter is like trying to fly in a vacuum. Your punches are canceled of all power. And then the bad guy shows up with his like crab creature monster truck or vehicle. So now he's seeing what's going on. The bad guy wanted Superman and Batman out of the way. So after all said is done in front of the UN, Rastignac is facing sanctions and humiliations before all the world powers. What a hangover, Batman. Soups, you mean you weren't defectors? Nope. Well, we were pretty uptight about you stealing our thunder, but the rest of it was Uncle Sam's scheme to smoke out the guy's secret weapon. And they take off. Because, you're not sore at me for becoming Super Freak. Haven't you noticed, Element Man? It's worn off. It's just been a temporary thing. Holy Hannah, you're right. This drove me crazy, man. That's a weird thing about DC is they would split their ads among their pages, and then when they got reprinted, you have these big old gaps. And it's charming in a sense, but give me a second. Well, here's Static Shock. I too, as I drop this, I had to blow my nose. This is a relaunch because this originally came out in the early 90s with two guys that have passed away. Dwayne McDuffie died fairly early, and John Paul Leon, I mean, they were a great team. He was a great writer. He was a great artist, and he had done a run of Fantastic Four that was really great. And anything John Paul Leon did, Earth X, which was the story that Grant, can't think of his name. Alex Ross came up with. I love how the eyes are barely showing. So this is really, really fantastic art. And it's very influential because I've seen like there was that Hawkeye series where he lived in an apartment in New York City. And I think it was written by, I don't know if it was Brubaker or somebody else maybe, but this sort of set the it sort of set that stage of like that kind of art style being acceptable in a comic that isn't super clean and super, playing video games. And really good stuff. It's really good. The story's great too. And I've always liked Static. I like his name is Virgil too. That's a great name that you don't know anybody else named Virgil in comic books. I liked Hardware too. That was pretty cool. So there you go. I really recommend this. This came out in, it's 1 of 4, and it came out. January 2001. Okay. Now, Starjammers, Dave Cockrum's creation. When he was doing X-Men, it was like the last 2 issues of X-Men, he introduced the Starjammers, and originally, except for these characters here, the other ones were based on Legion of Superheroes, like the team, the good guys, and it was really a treat. So Terry Cavanaugh, he wrote a lot of stuff around this time in the late 60s. He did, I can't talk today, late 90s. He did, I think he did some Silver Surfer, but I know he did some Moon Knight, because I had shown you that Moon Knight Ominous to, I want to start over so bad, but the images are good. Jeff Albrecht on the inks. I don't know much about him at all. He's doing a sharp job here. So a lot of you may not know about this. It kind of came and went. A lot of stuff in the late 90s came and went because scores and scores and hundreds of thousands of comic collectors just bailed because they got tired of being played for suckers with all the the fancy covers that had gimmicks, and they just kept coming out and people were buying them, but they didn't have anybody else to sell them to because they were all buying them. So this is like coming back to pure comics. When I say pure, I don't mean like squeaky clean. I don't mean like not having any edge. I just mean the way the story's being told. And Binary is there. Now, Binary was Carol Danvers, a.k.a. Ms. Marvel. I like that look on her. And they never really settled on that. I don't know why. But it was a cool look. She went back to her Dave Cockrum costume with the black and gold, or the dark blue and gold that for Avengers. When Avengers got relaunched by Kurt Busiek and George Perez, she became Warbird was her name, and she had that other costume. I love that name too, Warbird, but I don't know. And now she's Captain Marvel, which is, okay, even though I don't know why Monica Rambeau would change her superhero name. Concludes next issue. So this is dirt cheap. You can get these dirt cheap, and it's good stuff. Good stuff. And you've got to check this out. Domination Factor. 4 issues are by Dan Jurgens. 4 issues are by Jerry Ordway. And they connect because you have like 1 point. It's kind of screwball, but if you get all 8 issues, you could follow it. But look at that beautiful, beautiful work, and you got that classic Giant Man or Goliath. So, yep, and Dennis Janke inking. And Tom Smith, I like Tom Smith because he uses basic colors. He's good, but he doesn't drown out the art with just he's fairly informed on how color works, and there's a lot of people who don't have that skill. That's why George Perez hired him all the time, because Perez wanted all the lines to show, so he knew Tom Smith was not going to wreck his artwork. And when I say wreck, I mean like if you got an already super detailed book and then you add super detailed color on top of it, you really don't know what you're looking at as much. And take it on. There we are. Such a great era when John Buscema first came on. Black Panther had the mouth exposed on his mask. A little bit of memory lane for you. This is back when Goliath was like the leader of the team. He was the oldest member of the team. He was confident. So a little of everything. They redo this image where Toad gets sick of being, treated like a toad to Magneto, and he goes, "I see you do remember. You had this ship built of non-metals." "No, I'm your master. I am no man's master." And he, one line he forgot to mention was, "just to prove you could, make something out of non-metals." So, I mean, I don't know if they had a bet, and if they used, real money or those little chips you use. There's a Human Torch. That's a great image. I don't know if I've ever seen Ordway do the Human Torch, but he and the Andurians and the rest, they're guys like, why aren't they doing more comics? We need these kind of guys, because they're sensational. They know how to do superheroes, and they do stuff. They don't sit around and mope. They know how to focus better, maybe. There. It's like these characters, it's like they care so much about the story here, and you got a new book now, and it's like yada 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 yada. So it makes, I think that's why sales are suffering, because you're just not getting. These people are dressed godly, and that means they should be fighting sooner or later. And that's it, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you later.